This is Contra Radio Network, internet radio for the discerning prepper and patriot.
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea! We love this tea! Time after time, week after week, we love this tea! Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
Life is unpredictable, but you can count on Valley Food Storage to help you and your family prepare. With clean, natural, great-tasting, and long-lasting food storage, with our natural and nutritious freeze-dried food, you'll be storing the food you love to eat. Log on to ContraRadioNetwork.com and click on the Valley Food Storage banner.
Welcome to the Jeffers Brief, only on Contra Radio Network.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Jeffers Brief. I am your host, John Jeffers. So much to get to and so little time. So let me get started with this. I just posted an interview, a phone conversation I had with Terry Kaz. Those of you who have been longtime listeners of CRN know that Terry's been with us, well, probably since 2014. So he's a longtime friend here of CRN. And he's in Thailand. Has been for about almost a month. And I told him last week, I said, hey man, have you made preparations to get the hell out of there, to get back home? And he said, no, so he hemmed and hawed. We went back and forth. And the thing of it is this. In Thailand, they kind of censor the news. They kind of censor information. So, as he started looking into it, he got back to me on Messenger, and we were back and forth. Well, yesterday morning, I'd been up maybe 15 minutes. Hey, can you call me? Fine. Grab another cup of coffee, come up here to the studio. Got a hold of him on Messenger. Well, the sound quality is pretty good for the call, considering where it was coming from. And I know Terry was probably on his cell phone when he did it. But anyways, you get to hear Terry's observations about what he's been seeing, what's going on there. And Thailand is a lot closer to China than the United States is. And I thought it'd be interesting for us to get a different take on what Terry's seeing. Because let's face it, the mainstream media here in America, all they're interested in is shampeachment and Kobe Bryant's crash. You know what? Look, I know I'm probably going to catch flack for this, and I really don't give a damn. I don't care about Kobe Bryant dying in a helicopter crash. Don't care. Don't care. A lot of people died the same day he did. And meanwhile, the mainstream media is drooling and falling over themselves to see who can do the best tribute to Kobe. You know what? He's probably a nice guy. He ended up cheating on his wife, but that's none of my business. I don't care. All the guy did was play basketball. You know what? A trained SEAL shoots a ball through a hoop, too. Now, maybe he did more with his money. I don't know. I don't care. So, am I sorry he's dead? Yeah, you don't want to hear about that. Don't want to hear about his 13-year-old daughter dying with him too. Oh, well. I'm sorry it happened. But there are other people who died also that day. Don't care. All right. But the mainstream media here in America is not doing anything. They're more worried about a shampeachment. I'm not going to talk about that. I leave that to my good friends Don Lowry and Mark Boyle on the Two Crazy Guys show and the Conservative Underground, and let them go hog wild with it. I, however, because I started CRN as a prepper show, this is kind of a prepper thing. And we're going to talk about the coronavirus, the entire episode. So if you don't want to hear about it, that's cool. I get it. Good luck to you. Love you. Thanks for listening. All right, let's get to it. I've said what I've had to say. A couple things you need to understand what's going on. The Ontario, California airport is going to be the repatriation point for passengers arriving from Wuhan region of China. The county of San Bernardino reports that it has been notified by the State Office of Emergency Services that Ontario International Airport may serve as a repatriation point for up to 240 U.S. citizens, including 9 children arriving from the Wuhan region of China in a U.S. State Department chartered aircraft. A county statement issued Monday says county departments and personnel are working closely with our state, city, and Ontario partners to prepare for this possible repatriation, focusing on ensuring the arriving citizens are free of any illness before clearing them to proceed to their respective U.S. destinations, and protecting the San Bernardino County community from the possibility of exposure to any contagions. Now, Ontario International was designated by the federal government as the official repatriation center for California about a decade ago, and various county departments have participated in numerous comprehensive repatriation exercises with state and federal agencies during the past several years to ensure the county and all other agencies are prepared for this type of event. Now, the occupants of the aircraft will consist entirely of U.S. State Department employees, U.S. contractors who've been working in China, and other U.S. citizens. The aircraft will first arrive in Alaska, where occupants will be examined by the personnel from the U.S. Centers for the Disease Control and Prevention. No occupants who present symptoms of illness will be allowed to proceed into the continental United States. Upon arrival in the continental U.S., possibly Ontario, aircraft occupants will again be screened by CDC personnel and monitored for up to 2 weeks. Now, Ontario International will proceed under normal operations during this period. This is important. I myself, I'm glad to see they designated this as a repatriation point years ago. So they've had time to train. Look, training makes all the difference. Now, granted, training scenarios will never, ever, 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 ever equal or work up to the reality of a situation that presents itself, which is what we were seeing. So there are many of you who are saying, John, where are you getting your information? I'm going to tell you, I'm getting it from the Daily Mail Online and The Sun, both out of the United Kingdom. Now, our good friend, Brian McClooney in Northern Ireland, has said that, they kind of make fun of the Daily Mail in the UK. But the fact is, they're the ones that are really paying attention to this. The other services like the BBC and the American mainstream media and Sky News, all they're doing is repeating what the Chi-Com government is putting out. So they're really not looking into it real hard. That's why I'm using that. I want our listeners to be prepared. Now, being prepared means a couple things, and I want you to understand it, my friends, because this is why we prep. It has been reported. You know what? We're going to get back to this in segment 2. All right? But it has been reported there are now food shortages in the cities where the outbreak is taking effect. We will get more of that in a moment. Right now, Dr. Mark Siegel has sounded the alarm about the Chi-Com response and what they're telling the world. Don't believe me? Listen to it for yourself.
Well, the coronavirus, which is incubated in China for some unknown period of time and now has escaped China, is getting worse by the day. More than 80 people are dead so far. That's the official number. It could be vastly larger. Thousands of cases have been confirmed. At least 5 of them here in the United States. Again, this is an illness with an incubation period of 2 weeks, so there could be many, many more that we don't know about yet. But so far, and this is the fascinating part, travel to and from China and the United States remains completely unaffected. Chinese citizens, even people coming directly from Wuhan, the place where this started, can travel to and from the United States whenever they want. Bizarre. During the SARS epidemic 17 years ago, Canada failed to shut down flights between China and Toronto, and the result was a major outbreak that killed dozens. It was so bad that Singapore banned flights from Canada. Amazing. So are we risking something like that today? Dr. Mark Siegel is a Fox Medical contributor, and he joins us tonight. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on. You don't want to be alarmist about this, but...
All right, hold on. I got to end this segment. We're going to bring, when we come back for segment 2, we are going to finish this up, all right? So stick around. Don't go anywhere. You'll like it, I promise.
This is the Contra Radio Network, CRN for all the right reasons.
Proper has made tactical gear with a purpose for over 50 years, since their first U.S. Navy contract in 1967. Today, Proper designs and manufactures professional-level tactical apparel and gear for military, law enforcement, and public safety professionals and civilians, whether in the service, on the job, or off for the weekend. Log on to ContraRadioNetwork.com and click on the Proper banner now. At Stag Arms, there is no weak side. Our rifles are 100% American-made, including each and every part assembled. We aim to provide recreational shooters, law enforcement officers, hunters, and professional shooters with super quality and competitively priced rifles. Every rifle shipped is built to order. Check out Stag Arms now. Log on to ContraRadioNetwork.com and click on the Stag Arms banner.
We're going to get right back to it, like I promised. Here you go. Here's the rest of it.
But it sounds pretty serious, and I'm kind of struck by the fact nobody seems to be, in public anyway, talking about a travel ban. Why?
You know, Tucker, I'll get to that, but I want to say that I've been studying contagions for a really long time, as you know, and I have never seen anything like this. The amount of suppression from the Chinese government. Now they're suddenly cordoning off whole cities. The fact that this far in, we don't know how contagious this is or even how deadly it is. The World Health Organization has yet to call this an international emergency when 1.5 billion people in China are already involved. And then to your point about the lack of a true travel ban and the idea that people are going back and forth semi-freely. And if you do quarantine entire cities, by the way, people try to escape the quarantine.
That's right.
And they get hysterical and they spread more virus.
That is true. That is true. Unless you're willing to ruthlessly enforce a quarantine. And by that I mean anybody caught trying to escape the quarantine is shot dead like a mad dog. I know.
A shining light in the darkness is our own Centers of Disease Control here, which has looked at 110 cases already, found 5, all of whom traveled from Wuhan, and ruled out 32 cases, didn't have it. So they're teaching us as we go now how contagious this is. I'm very proud of our own government, CDC, not what's going on in China, which is really reckless and really, really scary.
Well, it is scary. And I mean, I guess the most obvious question is the Chinese government providing our Centers for Disease Control with all the information that it needs to make informed decisions?
I have reason to believe that that's still not true, and I'll tell you why. How the numbers are suddenly skyrocketing. And for months, there were word coming out of China that people were getting sick from a strange illness and people were dying. Are they really on all the death certificates, this virus? Do we really know all the people that...
Hold it, stop it. All right, look. I made a mistake last week. I was under the impression that this virus had started to break out in January, like January 3rd. I was wrong. They started having these issues with this strange new mystery illness back in late November. November! All right, continue.
Had this, or did they think they had a flu? We don't know if this is more contagious or deadly than the flu, and we need to know that. We're studying these 5 people very, very carefully, but that's what should have been done in China from the beginning, and it wasn't. And I'm positive there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cases that never came to light here.
Well, so given that we know, and it's no surprise, the Chinese government is lying about a matter of life and death, as they have so many times before, corporate America will whelp and whine if we shut down travel to and from China, but if you were acting in the public's best interest, wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, and yes, you would, and I want to make a point here that you...
Hold on. Public safety, public health takes precedence, period. Any court, if they do it and corporate America throws a fit, and they're going to, I get it. We all understand that. We're not stupid. But the problem and the issues of courts will always come down on the side of public safety, always. Let it roll.
You know well. The State Department is saying level 3 to China, meaning you can go if you have an essential reason to go. But here's what our viewers need to know. You can get there, and it's also, according to the State Department, China can say, you can't go back. You can't leave. We're not letting you out. We're afraid you might have the Wuhan coronavirus. So I would tell everybody, unless they absolutely have to stay out of China. And I'm not trying to say, by the way, that all parts of China are equally affected here. That's not my point. But you could go there and they could decide, whoops, now you're in the area we're worried about, and not let you go home.
I mean, especially, as you pointed out in the first sentence, we just don't know because it's an opaque dictatorship that lies for a living. Terrifying. Dr. Siegel, I know we'll see you again on this.
We need to know how contagious and how deadly.
Yes.
And they're not telling us.
There you go. Just saying, putting it out there. And it's important for us to know. Actually, it's important for the world to know. Now, my friends, we've got other stuff going on. Australia. Those poor bastards. It's bad enough they had a bunch of arsonists go around setting forest fires. And then we had Hollywood saying, it's climate change that's doing it. Bullshit. Bunch of arsonists. So, New South Wales gets to deal with forest fires. The rest of the country is suffering because of it. And then comes along the coronavirus. New Zealand has probably, well, they're screening for, I understand today, they're looking at 3 people that came in from an Australian tour. And tourists back and forth, New Zealand and Australia. Not unusual. It's been going on for years. Not a big deal. 3 of them apparently started showing symptoms. So New Zealand says, oh, hell, now we got to deal with it. Australia is dealing with more and more because, let's face it, they're closer to China than we are. They have more of a, I don't know if they have more of a commercial tie with China, but you would think so. So they're dealing with that. All right. Oh, by the way, I want to say welcome to our listeners in France. We're getting more and more listeners. Thank you for listening. Tell your friends. Tell everybody. What else we got going? What is this? Okay. Preppers, listen to me closely. Closely. Okay. Where do I start with this? All right, listen closely. Respiratory mask. Good idea. However, some pharmacies across the United States have reportedly sold out of surgical-style masks in the midst of the coronavirus outbreak that has crippled China and is spreading to several other countries. Now, according to the BBC, the mask began selling out in Seattle, where the first case of coronavirus was reported. The outlet said other cities like New York, D.C., and Los Angeles have had similar reports. Listen, my friends, you need to get online now. Order it up. Not just normal surgical masks. That's not going to do it for you. You got to get, something online I saw yesterday, and people were started yelling at they were getting in their typical social media tit for tat tiff. And they're saying, well, the N95 this, N95 that. Look, my friends, when people talk about N95, they're talking about the filter. There is no N95 mask. They do sell masks, like 3M and some others, that have an N95 filter or an N99 filter. Those filters will catch the virus if it's present. Get whatever mask you want. Just be sure that is capable, and you can get extras, and they're getting harder and harder to find. I was looking online yesterday. I've got my extra ones, and I've got 2 respiratory masks. Not the surgical mask, a respiratory mask. Bear in mind, now this is key, because you got a respiratory mask, which means you won't breathe it in, provided you have an N95, which filters out 95%, or an N99 filter, which filters out 99%. So you got 95, N95, N99, 99%. This is important. Just because you buy a surgical mask, it doesn't mean jack. If you run across somebody, and you will not know who it is or where, depending on where you go and how often you're out and about. Here in America, especially in the big cities, you will have issues. You'll be people back and forth. They cough, they sneeze. The mask does not cover the eyes. The flu virus can enter through the eyes. That part is just now breaking through now. We're starting to get that word. So, yes. I put it out on my CRN Facebook page. And I said, I bought this, I want to supplement what I've got. I do have the M17A nuclear, biological, and chemical military gas mask. Finding filters for that is very difficult because they haven't made it in a while. Some of the filters you can find online, they're still sealed in their plastic. They're probably still good. But I've made the decision that I'm probably going to upgrade the NBC mask in my supply catch to, I believe it's called the M40. I believe that's what it's called. I got to look it up again. Anyways, you need to do that now. If you don't have your supply catch, get in your supply catch. If nothing happens, great, you got in your supply catch, you're ready to rock and roll. Better to have, need it and have it than not need it. If you don't need it, great, whether you lost. But if you need it, you got it. That's what I'm telling you. Oh boy, all right, we're coming up on. All right, coming up at the end of segment 2. Still got a lot more information to put out there. We're going to talk about the R value of the virus when we get done coming back, because I want to do up, about these masks. They're getting, and like anything else, as we've said as preppers over and over again, when something hits, the market price goes up. We're watching that happen right now with the respiratory mask. The sooner you get it on. Now look, eBay has them, Amazon has them, and I'm sure other places have it. The thing with Amazon is you get it, if you got a Prime member, you get to rock and roll, you get it in a couple days. All right, look, we're going to be right back with segment 3. We're going to finish this up because I need you to understand what's happening, right? So hang in there. We'll be right back after this, all right?
This is Contra Radio Network, internet radio for the discerning prepper and patriot.
Times are changing. The circus of politics, healthcare's low standards and high prices, and let's not forget food quality. What to do? Arm yourself with Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. In a world of chemical imbalance and poor air and water quality, it's time you make a move. Log on to GetTheTea.com and stock up on organic non-GMO supplements. Don't forget the tea. Cleansing your body never felt so good. And we have a brand new tea called Takedown Tea, which helps support healthy glucose. All natural body support so you can be at your best, naturally. All you have to do is log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. We're not a fad that comes and goes. We are the real deal. Join us and armor up. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Changing America's health one tea bag at a time.
Life is unpredictable, but you can count on Valley Food Storage to help you and your family prepare. With clean, natural, great-tasting, and long-lasting food storage, with our natural and nutritious freeze-dried food, you'll be storing the food you love to eat. Log on to ContraRadioNetwork.com and click on the Valley Food Storage banner.
Welcome back. Here we go. Let's finish this up so we can talk about the R value and what that means. Where am I? Here? Okay.
Is the coronavirus way worse than we've been told? As 2 new cases pop up in the U.S., a Chinese nurse has gone viral for her video claiming the government is withholding key information about the outbreak.
我目前还在武汉汉口这个疫区，现在已经有9万多人次，和他身边的14个人，那么这个基数就很大了。
So what should Americans know as fears escalate? Here to break it down, Dr. Jeanette Nesheiwat. Dr. Nesheiwat, thank you for joining us this morning. What that nurse said, if it's true, what does that mean for China and the rest of the world?
Those numbers, they haven't been validated. There may be some truth to it, but here in the United States, we have about 5 cases confirmed. We have no fatalities here in the United States. So we should be concerned, but I don't think we should panic or be alarmed. I think the number one priority and concern is prevention control. And it can start at home. Keep your hands washed and clean. Avoid rubbing your eyes and your nose. Stay away from known sick contacts. Don't travel to that part of the world right now. If you are sick, stay home. But that's one of the biggest things. And then, of course, making sure that hospitals, healthcare providers are educated and trained and know what to do if someone comes in with, signs and symptoms of the coronavirus. Yeah. It could be, chest pain, shortness of breath, cough, fever. So one of the most important things is strict adherence to prevention of infection, that sort of thing. For example, if someone comes in and they say, oh, I just came from Wuhan, China, We will put them in a mask right away, whisk them away to the back room to isolate them, and to determine are they at a risk, and then and follow the CDC and Department of Health guidelines.
Now, the U.S. is evacuating citizens and diplomats who were living in Wuhan, and they're going to be flying into San Francisco this week. Does that concern you? How easily does this virus spread?
It seems to be very highly contagious and spread very rapidly. It looks like the numbers are doubling in China. So, but what's going to happen is anyone that flies back into this country, they're going to be screened.
The numbers are doubling about every 2 to 4 days. And I can't believe you said, well, it's a highly contagious. Really? Duh. Roll it.
Temperature is going to be taken. They're going to ask if they have chest pain, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, and they're going to be closely monitored and watched because there is a risk that they may have it, and you may not show symptoms for up to 2 weeks later.
That's right. Yeah. So now there is no cure. So does that means that it just basically has to run its course, and you hope that you survive? What is the survivability rate of something like this?
Sure. So in this country, what we will do is we will at least, even though there's no specific cure, no specific vaccine. We will provide supportive care, fluids, hydration, Tylenol, ibuprofen, medicines, just supportive care. But there is a vaccine that's in the works. And again, fortunately, there's no.
Good.
Yeah, maybe they're looking at a few months for that to come out.
No. That is BS. They will have, if they find something, a vaccine that they think will work, that's going to take 3 months. If that first vaccine that they've come together and said, okay, we think this works, it looks like it works, it will take almost a year for it to get mass produced and put on the market and distributed throughout the planet. Roll it.
But there's no specific cure right now. But the best thing you can do is, live a healthy lifestyle. Don't smoke. Get enough sleep. Get a good, well-balanced diet. Take the common sense precautions.
A lot could happen between now and a few months when this vaccine could possibly come on the market. Do we know where this strain originated from?
Yes. So this particular strain, called the novel corona strain, the 7th strain of the coronavirus, was originated at a wet animal market in Wuhan, China, and it was spread from animal to human, and now human to human transmission from someone that may have it who's coughing and sneezing, airborne particles, and then.
All right. What she's not saying is this. As the virus goes from person to person, it mutates. Case in point, 3 days ago, video showed up, bootleg video out of Wuhan. People are now coughing up blood, whereas before they weren't, which is evidence that the virus is now mutating. I just can't stand this. This is the worst interview on the planet. I don't know. I'll let it play out.
From human to human, and as we can see, it's spreading rapidly like wildfire.
Well, it's not often that a new disease like this comes up and just puts the medical community on its heels. But thank you so much for those tips. That is very important. All right, Dr. Neshwat, appreciate it. Is the coronavirus...
Go to hell. That was the worst interview on the planet. It was stupid. All right, look. I promise we're going to talk about what they call the R value. The R value is... I'll explain it to you. Now look. Here's what the official news of China said about the outbreak in tandem with the World Health Organization, whose head is a CCP mouthpiece. In other words, whatever the Chinese Communist Party says, the head of who the World Health Organization goes, So apparently the CCP has their hand up the WHO head's ass, working like a damn puppet. Now, Wayne Guofa is a respiratory physician from Beijing University, was sent to Wuhan on December 31st. On People's Daily, the propaganda magazine of China, he claimed that people were getting better and the situation was under control. Up until early January, along with the WHO, heavily influenced by Margaret Chan, claimed that there was no evidence found for the virus spreading human to human. Way wrong there, huh, Margaret? Right, Maggie? Hong Kong University's epidemiology professor, Guan Yi, was one of the central figures who helped dealing with the SARS outbreak in the early 2000s. He went to Wuhan to conduct epidemiological surveillance, only to come back a day later because he saw that the disease is no longer controllable, claiming that a conservative estimate will be 10 times worse than SARS. The research institute in Wuhan didn't let him in to study the situation, and the market in which the disease was supposed to have been originated from was cleaned, making it hard to trace back where and how the disease started. Now, I told you I'm going to talk about the R factor. In addition to the fact that this is going to be a global pandemic, the new virus has a 3.8 RO value. What does it mean? What it means is it's as deadly as smallpox, HIV, or the flu, which spreads easily. So, to clarify, at the moment, the R naught value is 3.8. That means each virus carrier will likely, not that they will likely pass the virus to 3 or more people, creating other new infectees, who will then go out and are likely to infect 3 or more. See how it goes? It's almost like a geometric progression. That's the R factor sometimes. Now, the virus, as I've said, is said to be mutating. Now, Gao Fu, who's the Director General of China's Center for Disease Control, is warning the strain is adapting and mutating as it spreads. The Wuhan Institute of Virology stated it was found that nCoV 2019, that's the official scientific designation for novel coronavirus 2019, is 96% identical at the whole genome level to a bat coronavirus. The pairwise protein sequence analysis of 7 conserved non-structural proteins show that this virus belongs to a species of SARS. The coronavirus 2019 was then isolated from the brachioalveolar lavage fluid of a critically ill patient, which can be neutralized by sera from several patients. So, importantly, we have confirmed that this novel CoV uses the same cell entry receptor, ACE2, as the SARS-CoV coronavirus. I know. Now, I have posted the video from that the Daily Star in the UK got, showing that people are spitting up blood now, whereas they weren't before. There's a medic, and others have claimed that there's as many as 100,000 are infected. It's very possible. In Arizona, their 5th case has been confirmed. And I understand there's possibly New Jersey. It said possibly. I'm not sure. Can't get anything back about that. Oh, there's so much crap going on with this. So, what I also said that we are going to talk about food supply. Where is it? Where is it? This is so ridiculous. I mean, I got so much information. Yeah, I've been posting on the CRN Facebook page as soon as I get it, if it's something that I think is really important. So, German man has caught the deadly coronavirus without going to China. So Europe has recorded its first case of human-to-human transmission, and Hong Kong has banned travel to the mainland, and Australian celebrity hotel goes into lockdown amid world fears. Okay. What else I got? Oh, here we go. Now, as we know, Hong Kong has closed its schools till March. There are food shortages in the affected and barricaded areas. This is why we prep. Why we put food and water in our supply catches. Because if this happens here, and I'm not saying it will, I'm saying if it does, at least you don't have to rely on the government for food and water. But, as anybody else will tell you, if the government's handing out food and water, go grab your share of it. Why wouldn't you? All right. What do we got here? How much time have I got? Over. We'll be right back after this.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Life is unpredictable, but you can count on Valley Food Storage to help you and your family prepare. With clean, natural, great-tasting, and long-lasting food storage, with our natural and nutritious freeze-dried food, you'll be storing the food you love to eat. Log on to ContraRadioNetwork.com and click on the Valley Food Storage banner.
Welcome to a fourth and final segment of the Jeffers Brief. We will continue. Something else that you need to understand as well. And I want you to bear with me on this, because as long as it sounds like it's common sense, many people won't do it. If you're just going to get the half face mask respirator, get protective goggles. Now, there's a Chinese doctor who says he caught the SARS-like infection because he wasn't wearing protective goggles. So, and what else have we got? Because just from the Daily Mail it is. It says the killer coronavirus outbreak rampaging across the world will last months as the death toll hits 106. It's already gone higher than that. And scientists warn a vaccine is still at least 8 weeks away if they can find the right one. And that's just them finding it, not the fact they put it into mass production and get it distributed. So, meanwhile, listen up, my friends. This is important. Facebook, Google, and Twitter. Who cares? Have scrambled to contain the spread of misinformation on the coronavirus as posts calling it a fad disease and claiming it can be treated with oregano oil. Go viral. No. You know what? No. You know what? No, because this is okay. Think about this. This is gonna sound bad. If you are dumb enough to use oregano oil, God love you. Hope it works for you. Hope you survive it. And you might. You might. I'm just saying. Oh, what else we got here? I'm reading through a list of stuff, trying to get the information out to you because don't have a lot of time, and who knows what's going to happen next week. The Chinese citizens are posting coded messages about the coronavirus to avoid the state's social media censorship. They're calling the outbreak Chernobyl and referring to President Xi Jinping as Trump as they slam the communist government's response. Now, boys and girls, we're hearing about, hey, they're building a hospital in less than 4 days and we got plans for 3 more, which is fine. That's great. Build the hospital. However, you still have to provision it with beds, equipment, and doctors and nurses. And I don't think they've got enough doctors and nurses in China and workers, technicians. You guys got people that got to do the dirty work to staff that hospital and 3 others. And if they don't, then those are going to become very expensive morgues. Oh, we got 1,000 bed. Really? You got 1,000 beds already to go loaded up in that hospital? You got the equipment, do you? You got the personnel to man it? That's just what I'm telling you, because the media is not going to say something like that. They aren't going to. Fears of the coronavirus outbreak in New Zealand as 3 people in a tour group from Australia. They're rushed to a hospital. And concerns that they might be infected with the deadly disease. Oh, well. Oh, what else we got here? Don't panic. Guys, I'm not saying panic. First of all, don't panic. I mean, will they be able to contain it? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. It is a time for preparation. If you're listening to me over in Europe, you got time. Go get food, water, stock up, get your supply catch up, especially your new listeners around the world. And then put it somewhere safe. And don't tell people you're doing it. Get your supply catch up to speed, up to, standards that you need to have it for you and your family. Don't panic. There's no reason to panic right now. It's a time of concern. We're keeping an eye on it. That's why I put all that stuff you've been seeing on the CRN Facebook page and on my mumblet.com page. It's all information for you to make the decision that you need to make for you and your family. What you do with that, I don't care if you choose to do nothing. That's not my problem. Not my issue. Don't care. It's not, my friends. What else have we got today? I already told you about the flight from Wuhan. They say San Francisco. They could very well be Ontario. I don't know. Let me see what else. We talked about getting it through the eyes. There's a possibility. So if you do get the face mask, get some eye protection. Doesn't hurt. The Wuhan mayor has admitted that he has been underreporting the outbreak and the cases to the Central Committee in China. My guess is that mayor is going to be put against the wall and they're going to execute him and make him an example. And he says there's another 1,000 cases in the city. And Beijing is warning the virus is more contagious than SARS. So think about that. Over in Britain, we do have some listeners. And so far, so good for them. And I said, don't panic. This is not a panic time. This is a time Let's take stock of what we have, what we might need, get it now. Like I said, you go to Amazon or eBay, stuff's selling out. They won't get any. I've seen saying sold out. You know, they're looking at mid-February or March before getting resupplied. So think about that. Do not buy any mask in China, from China. Bad idea. Bad idea. Look for the N95, N99 filters. Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware. They'll have them there. They'll have the face respirators there. They do. They sell them for that. Just make sure you get the right filter. Nothing less than an N95. Got it? I mean, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, maybe you want to get more. You can. And here, governments must implement draconian travel curves to stop China's coronavirus becoming a pandemic, scientists warn. And that's from a team of experts who are mapping out the outbreak. Yeah, boy. A few people in Australia. How more than $2 billion could be wiped off Australia's struggling economy, and 20,000 people could lose their jobs. That's a lot. That is a lot. See. Of course, the State Department has raised its travel advisory for all of China as the deadly coronavirus has killed 82. This is just from yesterday. It's up to 100, I think 110 now. 110. And they're warning Americans to reconsider visiting the country. If you need the government to tell you, you need to reconsider going to China, you're a moron. You need to get on that plane. Do the rest of the planet a favor. Get on that plane and go. Well, I'm serious. If you're that stupid. Now, something else you have to remember, too, is this. Red tape is creating a coronavirus testing bottleneck at the CDC. Why? Because their scientists have the only test for 110 suspected cases of the deadly virus, as officials wait for the FDA to give emergency green light for state hospitals to use the blood screen. Once again, the government's stepping on their ass, doing bad, wrong things. Let's see what else we have here. Yes, here you go. The Wuhan mayor admits withholding information about the coronavirus after revealing 5 million residents had left the city before it went to lockdown. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Look, if they can do that in communist China, what's to say that there won't be more people if they try to do that in the United States? I don't know if they can even do that in the United States. I don't think they've got enough people or equipment to put a city on lockdown. I don't think so. But that's me. I'm thinking most people would try to get out of the... You'll always find people that are willing to test the system to see if they can get in and out. Hell, World War II, the Jewish ghetto in Warsaw, Poland. They had people that were able to get under the wall and get out. So if they could do it with the Nazis, some 80 years ago, 70, 80 years ago, who's to say they can't do it now? I'm just putting it out there. All right, my friends, I'm coming to the end here of this show. Enjoy the interview with Terry Kaz. Listen to the end. We got some information there that you might find interesting. So until then, I'm John Jeffers at the Jeffers Brief, telling you, don't panic. Be alert. Get what you got to get. Get your supplies in order. It's always good preparation. Be concerned. Be watchful. Be vigilant. Be alert. I'm John Jeffers for the Jeffers Brief. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week, or unless something new and interesting comes up, there'll be another special episode. Until then, I'm John Jeffers. Thanks for listening. Good luck.